Please excuse the mess. The SonarFeed appears to be having a few difficulties. Tonight we have a special musical intro. Feel free to join in as we go. You found the best podcast in the league. You found the best podcast in the league. You found the best podcast in the league. You also found We've got Aaron Riley on SonarFeed. We got Aaron Riley on SonarFeed. We got Aaron Riley on SonarFeed. We got the best team in the land. We've got Lee Rael on SonarFeed. We got Lee Rael on SonarFeed. We got Lee Rael on SonarFeed. We got the best team in the land. We got Adam Smith on SonarFeed. We got Adam Smith on SonarFeed. We got Adam Smith on SonarFeed. We got the best team in the land. We got Coach Hinton on SonarFeed. We got Coach Hinton on SonarFeed. We got Coach Hinton on SonarFeed. We got the best team in the land.
Welcome everybody, welcome.
Who taught us that one?
That was Coach Hinton. One of the best moments of 2014 and 2013 and any of the years is having Coach come down to the Berliner pub or wherever you may be, having you come down to GA with ECS and sing that to us in GA. Fantastic, absolutely wonderful.
That's one of the best times last season for me, amongst many best times. And I always ask permission, though.
Yep.
I ask permission from the man with the mic or the lady with the mic.
Yep.
Right.
Can I sing or can I say a few words? And the fans are wonderful. That's one of the reasons why the club is so successful. The huge crowds behind the goal at Emerald City and pubs like the Berliner, and I've been to Doyle's in Tacoma. I've been to the Manor House down in Ballard, the Manor Arms, and I've been to the Atlantic Crossing. Fantastic fans all across the state. To be honest with you.
Yep. I agree. We got a new pub in next season for Yakima. It's going to be broadcasting. Did I hear that?
What?
The Bert's is going to continue doing broadcasting Yakima next year.
Yes.
We're spreading.
So Bert's pub in Yakima is where a lot of our friends that live over there go. And
I'll come over.
Yeah.
One game, I'll come over.
There you go.
Get some wine and get a glass of wine over there.
Yes, sir. I'm actually taking the supporter shield over there to visit that pub.
Don't drop it on your foot.
I won't.
I picked it up, and that is heavy.
I want Coach in my car on the road trip. I mean, if we're doing
exactly.
that.
There we go. All right.
What's wrong with you, Adam?
Let's do some rock and roll.
So here we are, episode number 112 of SonarFeed.
Yes.
You were on episode 76 last time. So thank you for joining us sooner than later. We appreciate that. We had a great time last time. This time we are on the loudspeaker and everyone can hear us, it sounds like.
Yep.
We're kind of going, kind of, mostly.
Mostly. You can't hear us? Who can't you hear?
Okay.
You just don't like hearing us. Okay.
Oh, it's the bar, we're in a bar. So
The one SonarFeed guarantee we can give him, though, is when he gets his golden copy of this show, the audio will actually he'll be able to hear us.
Yes, exactly. So my name is Aaron Riley, as we heard sung on the wonderful entry.
That was
intro.
a big-time entry, wasn't it?
That was a great intro. Thank you, Max, for that.
Max always comes up with the best intros.
Max has got the trilby on tonight. He's got the. I love those trilbies. Reminds me of a good old Englishman.
Yep.
Well, I don't know about good old, but he's definitely old.
Well, I didn't say he was old. I mean,
But we all fell right in, right? I knew what we were doing right away as soon as he started. Like, let's do this.
Yep. And then to my right here, joining us for the first time in like 2 months.
2 months, yeah.
Is Lee Rael, who has been in the Philippines for work for the last 2 months.
I've been dodging typhoons and little people.
I saw one that was 175 miles an hour.
175 miles an hour near me, yeah.
How was that?
I was on the 28th floor. I didn't feel a thing. my apartment had internet. That's all that mattered.
Okay. Good.
the internet, did he go out?
No. We have generators in my building. It's where the rich people live.
Oh, wow.
Thank God you had a company putting you up.
The best thing is when I was going to work at 10 p.m., the hookers were going upstairs. So that always made for an interesting day.
That's interesting.
It is an interesting thing. So I was like, working people coming in at the same time,
Yes.
And the internet works.
Yeah, and the internet works.
So what the heck?
All right, so then over here we have Adam Smith.
Yes, sir.
Adam C. Smith on Twitter.
Sometimes.
Thank you for joining us once
Yeah,
again.
I'm super happy to be here. Anytime
Absolutely.
Coach is on, you can have me on.
Absolutely. And then there's no man who needs no introduction, as you have already been here once before, but Coach Hinton. So what we do, Coach, is we always, when we start the show, we always ask each other, what have we been doing since the last time we saw each other? Well, for you actually this time, because you've been here before, how have things been for you? I know you've had an interesting 2014.
I've had a really amazing 2014 in many ways. It started off a little bit rough for me. I got fired from the Sounders broadcast, TV and radio.
Yeah.
I was very upset about that.
Yep.
Thought it was the wrong decision. I'd worked 5 years. I thought we were doing a good job. We were calling it the way it was. In many ways, enjoyed the team being successful. But it was the way it was done. I didn't like that. So I got over that because immediately Paul Sylvie called me. I didn't chase after him, but Paul and I have got along great for many, many years. And he invited me to be on Northwest Cable News on a Friday. And I was on Channel 6 on a Friday.
Yep.
I'd get there about 4 o'clock. Paul would say, what do you want to talk about? I'd say, let's talk about this, the coach, or Dempsey, or Martins. Of course, all year long, you couldn't fail but to talk about the combination between Martins and Dempsey, which was totally awesome. And then Paul would say, okay, we'll talk about this. And within 45 minutes, I was back in my car. I'd be on at 10 past 9, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30, maybe even 4:30, and I'd be on Channel 6 at quarter to 10. So I was on 7 times during the night, and I really had very, very good things to say about the Sounders. But we talked about some human interest stories, talked about the 40th anniversary, and one of the highlights of that was Alan Hudson coming over from England, who maybe was the greatest player ever to play for the Sounders. He was a wonderful talent midfield player. We had a great few days with them. The club generously gave him the golden scarf, which I know he really, really appreciated. So, and I do stuff. I go around the pubs. I'm an ambassador for the club. I come to the Berliner. I go to other pubs. We've talked about that before. But I go to practice 3-4 times a week. I get on fantastic with the coach. And I get on great with all the players. And I do other blogs and websites. And I'm very busy. I'm often on the radio in Spokane or Bellingham or Seattle or wherever. So I'm very blessed that people want to have me on the air. And I watch the games in the press box. And then, of course, I go and talk or sing to the Emerald City Supporters Club before the game. And that's one of the joys of my life, because I am an old choir boy and I can't keep a tune. But it's been a fun year in many ways.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, yeah, and that's what you also did some stuff. Obviously, once you left the Sounders there, once the split happened, you did some stuff with them though, as far as a.
Oh, I do stuff with them now because I had a choice of getting the Sounders out of my life, but I couldn't do that. I'm too long in the Sounders. I've been with the Sounders for 35 years, and I feel that I've been through the tough times. I've always been like the Yellow Pages, never stopped selling soccer. And I thought the Sounders means more to me than some people who made the decision not to bring me back. But the bottom line is that, I've seen the club mature. The club's had a very good year. I also went to Europe for 9 weeks in the summer to celebrate my wife and I's 50th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations, 50
years.
So
we've had a fascinating year in many ways. Went back to my hometown, showed my grandchildren where I was born and the church I was in and the old house we lived in, and the cricket field and all the areas where I grew up. And frankly, it looked great because the weather was so wonderful.
That's great. That's fantastic.
I heard the UK had great weather this year. It had an amazing run of weather. So
yeah. I was lucky enough to follow along while he was on vacation, even though it was opposite hours, to see some of the pictures and friends you were hanging out with, and it all looked so much fun.
Well, I kept everybody in touch from all the countries, Greece, Italy, France, several times in France, but and particularly in England, where London was wonderful.
Right.
The weather, and it was so lovely seeing 40, 50 different nationalities getting along so nicely, and London's a fascinating city. You've got all the museums. I took my grandson to the Churchill Museum. I took my grandson to the Imperial War Museum.
That's a good one.
We had a flat directly on Trafalgar Square itself for everybody, and it was a great time. But then I did come back, and I started having the test because I've had bladder cancer for. It was first diagnosed about 4 years ago, and I have been cleared for 3 years. I got back from Europe. My urologist went in my bladder with a camera. He said everything looks great. See you in August 2015. But the blood test and the urine test didn't match up. And then, after cut a long story short, they said my cancer had come back. And as we speak right now, I'm scheduled to get my bladder out before the cancer spreads. And the reason I've come out and said that publicly is because I have lost a lot of friends. We all have.
Right.
People who say, I'm not going to doctors. I'm a soccer player and I'm a big shot and I don't need to go to the doctors. Well, these people need to understand that a simple blood test, simple urine test can save you dying and can save you suffering late in your life and can give you a long, long life. So my urge for everybody, including you guys, is go and get tested.
Yeah, no, I've spent a lot of time in doctor's offices this last year, so I know that I'm currently cancer-free, but apparently there's some other stuff I need to work on. So
Can I I hate to do this, but I got to put a quick pause in the show. Unfortunately, we are off the air right now. The broadcast stopped, so quick pause. I need to do one thing. We're back live, ready to go. So, Alan, the last time you were here, we didn't ask you this question because you hadn't been here before, but now you've been here twice, so now we get to ask you this. So what have you been up to since the last time we saw you?
Well, I was in Europe for 9 weeks with my wife. We celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary, which was wonderful. We were all over Europe, spent some time in my hometown in England, showed my grandchildren when I was born and the church I used to go to. Couldn't show them the school because that's been leveled. It's now park. Showed them my old soccer fields, the cricket field. Went for lunch there. It was wonderful. And then we spent some time in London. Took my grandson to the Churchill Museum and the War Museum, which was fantastic. Had some great dinners. Went to Buckingham Palace, Tower of London. Did all the sites. London's a marvelous.
See, I've only been through Heathrow, unfortunately.
Well,
I've never stepped outside of
4.
Heathrow. Yeah,
You've got to find a way to stay there.
New Terminal 5?
Yeah.
Okay,
You know, it was so lovely seeing 40, 50 nations of the world getting along. All enjoying themselves, and it was a wonderful time. And then I got back from Europe. I followed the Sounders all the way through Europe. I continued working with Paul Sylvie on a Friday night, sometimes Chris Egan, and that was fun. And then I went for my checkup. I'd had cancer in my bladder about 4 years ago, and I'd been clear for about 3 years, so they went in my bladder with a camera and basically said, it's clear, see you in August 2015, and I was thrilled, but then my blood and my urine didn't concur.
Yep.
So it turns out that I've got the cancer has come back in my bladder, and I'm scheduled to have my bladder out to remove the cancer before it goes into the lymph nodes and through the wall on January the 5th. So I'm finishing up the year, a most fantastic year for the Sounders. Great travel for my wife and I, but I've got cancer in my bladder, and the reason I come out and tell people, I did a big story in England this weekend, but I want people to go and get tested.
Yep.
I have a lot of soccer friends.
Yep.
Young Mark Peterson, a former Sounder who died with lymphoma. He hadn't been to the doctors for 20 years. And he would be alive today if he'd have gone to the doctor. I've got a lot of friends in England, soccer players and non-soccer players, who've gone, I don't need to go to a doctor. I'm an old soccer player, and nothing's going to happen to me, and they die. But they would never have died if they'd have gone for these simple tests. So my message to everybody, even you young guys, is go and get tested. Get a physical every year, because it tells you everything today. The technical ability in the health industry is absolutely brilliant in diagnosing what is wrong with you, if there's anything wrong with you. But you've got to go and get tested, and that's, of course, what I did. But then I also told my doctor, I said, I feel great, I think I look great. I said, what happens if I do nothing? He said, oh, you'd be dead in 2 years. So I think having my bladder out is probably the right thing to do.
Well, I can tell you there's probably about, I don't know, a few 100,000 people or 1 million people here in Seattle, and then Vancouver, and et cetera, who want you to do that. There's a lot of people back in England. So there's a lot of us who look up to you as Uncle Alan, or Coach. Obviously, Coach. That you are an icon for a lot of us, and so having you around, please do.
I appreciate all the support I'm getting. It really is quite amazing.
I mean, it's going to be terrible if you don't make it and we have to bury you at the 50-yard line.
Oh, I tell you.
But it's a good way to get some turf on the field.
My wife actually said to me, she said, I'm not coming to your funeral in a Sounders tracksuit.
Wait, was that an option?
No.
I like your wife.
I'm not expecting to die.
No, you're not.
No.
But I am getting support from all over the world.
I wouldn't be joking about it if it wasn't that you're on the right path.
No.
So.
We have got plenty of trophies to see you hold up, and plenty of times to see you up on the capo stand before you're going. So.
But again, he needs to teach us a lot still too, obviously.
Right. Well, and it's critical, like you said. I mean, if there's a lot of us who don't go to the doctor, who don't take the time to go there, and we all think we're invincible.
Yep.
But the reality is, every one of us is only a second away, and I'm living proof of that as well.
Yeah, you almost died.
You could die, and you could die in a heartbeat.
That one
like
literally bit you in the ass.
It did. It was out of the blue, etc. And so now, but you're right. If you go in, spend the 10 minutes or an hour, and unfortunately get some of those tests that none of us want to do, you can save your life or your friend's life.
But it's a good feeling if they say, see you next year.
Exactly.
And that's what they did with me, but then they went further and found that the cells and the cancer had come back. So anyway, let's get on to something a bit brighter, like the marvelous season.
There we go.
The Sounders have just
Let's segue
had.
right into that.
Absolutely. The long, short off season.
So you've been around the Sounders for, I don't know, 40 years now, roughly, give or take?
35 years.
35 years. Yeah, 35 years. So of the 35 years, how does this rank in the 35 years?
Well, I would be not being true to my 1980 team if I didn't think that might have been the best team Seattle's ever had. 25 wins in the North American Soccer League, beating the Cosmos and beating all the big boys. We also got knocked out of the playoffs by Los Angeles in a bizarre game, just like the Sounders a couple of games this year. But I do think the club had its best year in 6 this year. There's a new maturity about the club. I think all the people, the front office, the coaches have realized that in the early stages, with the club having to be built so quickly, there was some errors made with certain players coming here who really didn't want to be here. I think the club is particularly anxious today, and proved it this past year, that everybody that comes here has to want to be here. And I think you saw that on the field. I saw it in practice. It happened in the locker room. A good locker room is a winner. I think the last 10 games of 2013, the locker room was a mess, and that was basically created by Eddie Johnson, who couldn't handle the fact that he wasn't getting the same as Clint Dempsey in terms of pay, and Eddie paid the price. And I believe Eddie would still be here if he would have done a good job instead of complaining and doing the money signal in front of the cameras. He did get a substantial raise when he went to DC, but in the same way, he did lose his place on the World Cup team, which was unfortunate. I don't think he had a great year in DC, but in the end, Obafemi Martin was a new guy. He was a new guy this year. I was in Tucson at the training camp, And Oba was laughing at every silly joke and all the fun games that Smitzer was putting on with the rookies. Oba was the first laughing. He was on the floor laughing. And of course, Jimmy Traore became his mate, and Jimmy Traore did a great job. And he's a wonderful guy, Jimmy Traore. Sadly, his days are over as a player now. He had a marvelous career, you know. He played for Liverpool for many seasons.
Oh, yeah.
And he loves Seattle, and I understand he's going to get a job in the organization, and I'm happy about that because he does have a big international background and can teach young players stuff, and maybe one day he'd be a top coach. But the whole atmosphere of the club from day one was absolutely brilliant this year.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. That's incredibly encouraging to hear because Oba has been my favorite since the minute he stepped on the pitch. I mean, of all the Sounders so far, I mean, Oba just captured my interest because he's such a dynamic.
He was the same in practice.
Yeah.
The coaches had to tell him to get in, go in the locker room. He was always out there late. He was goofing around on the practice field, running hard.
Yep.
In the games, I know he didn't score in the final 6 games, which was the sad part about his season.
Yep.
The greatest goal of the year was his goal against San Jose when he found a way. He wasn't even first best to get to that ball. He was second best to the defender. He got there and he clipped it over John Bush's head. Incredible goal.
Mystified
but
John
we had
Bush.
great goals too from Nagel, from Dempsey. Chad Marshall scored the game-winning goal. I think that was against Kansas City, or no, Philadelphia. Yeah. But it was a great year. Stephen Fry's a great story. Chad Marshall's the greatest story of all might be Zach Scott.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Zach Scott had to step up.
And he did.
Absolutely marvelous what he did.
Yeah,
I mean, at the beginning of the season, he was struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Traore was injured. Zach had to play. He beat out Annie Barber. And Annie Barber's now gone. And the reason Annie Barber's gone is because he couldn't get any games because Zach Scott was playing out of his brains. I mean, Zach Scott was brilliant.
Yeah,
and of course, the Yedlin story is fantastic. Gonzalez had a great year for an older guy.
Yeah.
What a wonderful guy he is. Ozzy had another good year. Brad Evans, who I know how Brad Evans felt because I got cut from the England World Cup team in 1965. And England won it in '66. Brad Evans was the shoo-in to go to the World Cup.
Yeah, and
his contribution in his contribution in the qualifiers was first class. He scored the game-winning goal against Jamaica, I think.
Yep.
So he had to come back here, not being selected for the World Cup, which was devastating for him.
Yeah.
But also Yedlin went.
Yes.
Yeah, and he
So
he turned it
technically,
up.
Yedlin took Brad's place.
Yep.
And Brad had helped Yedlin.
Yeah.
You know, I've read all the stories about Chad Marshall helping Yedlin. Of course he did.
Yeah.
Zach Scott helping Yedlin. Of course he did. But you know who helped him just as much? Brad Evans helped DeAndre Yedlin a lot. Now that's a story. All the Sounders fans now are going to say, we're going to become Tottenham fans. He's going to Spurs.
Yeah.
And it's a great story. And it's a great story for the club because, you know, the club got $3 million. The league got $1 million. Yedlin hopefully got good money for himself, which he'll say thank you very much for. He deserves that.
Yep.
But it means the club now is going forward with a vengeance to produce more and more talent from local homegrown players. And this has been a hotbed of producing talent for many, many years.
Yeah, and now it's starting to pay off. And I mean, now we're going to start seeing allocation money be able to show up to the team by bringing in young players. But we're talking about Zach Scott and coming back to that for a second. In 20 years, I want to have Zach Scott on a show, you know, after he's been up in the Capo stand and after he's singing, greatest team in the land. And I think that's going to be an interesting story as he progresses through the next phase of his career because he's in his twilight days right now. I mean, he says he's going to come back next year. We don't know in what capacity, but you know, if he played like he did this year, why not?
Based on the club, promoting players from within, which is what they've done.
Yep.
I think Zach's got a very good future.
I agree.
If he coaches like he played, he'll be a very, very successful player, coach, because he's determination, his desire, his toughness, he's coming to work to practice every day. He's got great work ethic. and he'll be an inspiration to a lot of young players, and maybe he might be a head coach one day. So let's talk about Ziggy Smith. I mean, he had a great year.
Yeah.
He was the one responsible for bringing in Chad Marshall because he coached him before.
Yep.
And that was not without risk. I mean,
Sure.
he had some concussion issues, but he didn't seem to bother him this year. He's a wonderful guy. He was Defender of the Year. Stephen Fry, I know the coaches always liked him because he told me that. But I mean, Papa, very, very skillful player. Nagel had a very good year.
Yeah.
Andy Rose didn't play as much as he wanted to because he got injured. Pineda had a good year. But I think it's been a marvelous year, and
I was going to dangle out a warning. When you were on our show last time, you gave some really good advice to Eddie Johnson. You told him to pretty much shut his yap, get out of Seattle, and never say anything bad about it again. Finish the season, then leave. Don't ever say anything again. And the advice you gave him was exactly the right thing to do, and it appears it's like what he's done. He seems to have followed through on.
Well, that's not necessarily true. He's had his issues, and he had a good season on the field, but it sounds like he's had, he didn't get protected in the expansion draft, and that tells you that tells you a lot right there.
Sure.
If a team that's going to spend that much money and make you a designated player is not going to protect you in the expansion draft, that's big.
All they had to do was come to practice every day, work hard on the practice field, be a good boy in the locker room, which he was not.
Yeah.
And give his best in the games for a couple of months.
Yeah.
For a couple of months.
Yep.
We fell off the cliff, and the spirit in the locker room was not good. I did not blame Ziggy Smith for that.
No.
I think it was out of his control.
But so you even think? I mean, going back to because I was for a brief moment in Portland last year. I was definitely a Siggy out. I didn't have a plan, but when he started Shalry Joseph in forward position, I was devastated because I had taken time off
You know
work.
why he started Charlie Joseph?
No, why?
The home game against Portland, Ozzie Alonso scored a goal, and it was from a long throw-in that Charlie Joseph had gone into the penalty box for, and he headed it across to Ozzie, who scored. And I think he knew in his mind that he'd got to roll the dice to see if he could make something happen.
Something
I was
magical.
down in Portland doing the radio. We could have been 4-5-0 down after 20 minutes.
True.
Yeah.
And then we got 2 goals back. But I will tell you this, on the radio, my last statement on the radio, the post-game show was, I said, and I got some dirty looks from the other people on the radio, I said, I'm 100% support of Ziggy Smith.
Yeah.
And I was right. Because
Absolutely.
Ziggy Smith didn't go from being a very good coach for 4 3/4 years
Right.
into a bad coach. I see it all the time in Europe, all the time.
So do you see those on Twitter, the Ziggy and Ziggy out hashtags around the ends of the year when you're on Twitter? Do you see those come down in the Ziggy ins and the Ziggy outs?
That's okay. I mean, Ziggy's a big guy. He's a big man in many ways. But the bottom line is that we need to talk about things like that. We tend to be a little bit on the soft side here in terms of media.
Yep.
I want it to get stronger. Let's have good debate about what do you think about so-and-so's performance. I mean, Clint Dempsey had 2 great chances at the end of the LA game.
Yep.
That's what we need to debate.
Room for criticism.
and Obafemi Martins had a great chance on the top of the box when we're 2-0 up in the first half.
Which is one of the things we try and do.
We could have been 3-0 up, and Dempsey and Obafemi Martins can't criticise people like me that's really sung their praises week after week after week because they deserved it.
Right.
But when you get to the LA game, the big boys have got to do the job.
Yes, and I think, Alan, you're 100% right, and we talked about that briefly last time, is that one of the things you brought to the table is that you're willing to put yourself out there on the ledge. You're willing to be that person who's willing to say, I've been playing or coaching or involved in the sport for many years. Not me, this is you. I'm paraphrasing what I think you think of it. And that is a critical piece to what we need. We don't need just the fluff. The fluff is great to bring in new people, but then we also want the critical thinking piece. And I used to love at halftime, with you guys. You guys actually were critical. You were a critical point of view in a positive way at halftime back in the day, and that's something I miss.
I always will be, and I try to call it the way it is because calling it the way it is the only way you're going to educate the fans on what's really happening in the game.
Yeah.
We all need to have more knowledge, and people like me that's been in the game all my life, as a player, as a youngster, as a pro, as an international, as a coach of top players, who's been a pundit for many years on Fox, the Sounders, everywhere I've been, I know what I'm talking about, and I try to educate people. I don't want to soft soap everything. One of the things that drives me crazy about the NFL is that the commentators, when it's the simplest catch you've ever seen in your life, they'll cover it up.
Yeah.
And I'm going, he dropped the damn catch. My wife would have caught that damn thing. Why didn't you say that? You know?
This is why listening to the coach is the best, because coach will say that's not good enough.
Right.
This is not like if you watch baseball or any other sport, they're all like fluffy. It's like I said, it's like or if the call's bad, they go silent. The coach will be like, that's not good enough. That was wrong. That was a mistake. And it's like that's what we need.
Because how do you make people better? How do you improve things? How do you improve processes? How do you improve people? How do you improve kids? As a parent, you're a parent, right? Yeah. I mean, you know what it's like. You're a grandparent. You know what it's like. How do I, as a father, how do I make my kids better? I help them understand what they did that was right and what they did that was wrong. And we talk about both things. When they do something right, I praise them. Just because they went out and they participated in something, I don't give them a medal. Right? Well, of course they do actually nowadays. But my point is, we critically think too, and we critically talk about things. Well, my daughter is a goalkeeper, right? That's her favorite position. She's 11. She's just playing rec, so she's not like serious, like high end. But when we go out there and I ask her when we're done, what did you think of your ability when you were out there? And then I critique her in a positive way to help her learn. But some of it,
wait a second,
is not always positive.
There's nothing positive in your world.
I do think this, and one of the guys in youth soccer I admire greatly is Bernie James, who played for the Sounders and the Tacoma Stars and the Cleveland indoor team that was very, very good. Bernie James runs Crossfire. I actually started Crossfire all those many years ago, and Bernie James is a tough son of a gun. He was a tough defender. He's a big guy. Don't wrestle him, he'll have you on the floor in 5 seconds. But the bottom line is he's very blunt with the kids he coaches, and he gets the best out of them.
Right.
Because they know he likes them as people.
Right.
And sometimes he'll say, I'm not going to say you're a very good player, you're a very good player, you're a very good player. If you're not, you've got a lot of work to do, which means instead of being on the internet at night, you kick the ball against the wall and get some extra touches. And I think we as a nation have been too kind to people all the time, saying good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. I think we need to call it the way it is in sports at times, and I think people like Bernie James does.
Yep.
Well, and I think that's why Crossfire has done as well as they have over the years.
Crossfire's done fantastic.
Yeah.
DeAndre Yedlin played at Crossfire for 5 years.
Yeah. Yep, before he got picked up by the Sounders youth.
And of course, everybody knows that the Sounders are going to get the best players.
Sure.
Will the Sounders always pick the best players? It's impossible to pick all the best players.
Yep.
So people like Crossfire, Bernie James, they compete nationally, and sometimes go to Europe or Hong Kong or whatever. And he seems to find players who might be the players the Sounders didn't want to compete.
Sure.
There's that many players around this town. I mean, look at the University of Washington. Look at the Seattle Reign women's team.
Yep.
I watched them play a couple of times. Lovely, lovely team, the University of Washington women's team. The soccer area here is fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, POU is another good one down down south. I mean,
SBU.
Seattle, SBU. Seattle. I mean, even Eastern Washington has a decent soccer team.
But I mean, look at Brian Smetzer.
Yep.
Brian Smetzer. I signed Brian Smetzer at 18 years of age for the Sounders in 1980. He is a head coach material.
Sure.
He's paid his dues as a player. He's won championships with the Sea Dogs, several with San Diego Sockers. He won a championship with the Sounders in 95. 94, we won the division. He's been with the Sounders for 13 years or even more than that. I mean, I think Zach Scott's been at the Sounders 13 years, but Brian Smetzer is head coach material.
Yeah, I agree.
And I admire his loyalty. Some assistant coaches that are looking to be the head coach, they'll sometimes lay a trap for the head coach to make it difficult for the head coach. So Brian's done none of that. Brian's been Mr. Loyalty. He's got a job here forever, I would think, because he gets on great with Adrian Hanauer. And he gets on great with Ziggy Smith. And Brian Smetzer could probably get a head coaching job in many places in Major League Soccer, but he chooses to be here. I'm sure if Ziggy would have got let go, Brian would have probably had a shot at being the head coach. But
yeah, I think so too.
Ziggy's got an extension on his contract. My forecast with Ziggy is that he's 61 now. I think he'll coach through 65 and then he'll retire. And then Brian,
only after winning a
Brian will be getting up there in his late 50s, so he's still got time to be a head coach. But Brian is the backbone of what's happened in soccer in this town. Chance Fry, Billy Crook, Wade Webber, Bernie James, Mark Peterson, Jeff Stock, Peter Hattrup, the Dunn brothers, Marcus Hanneman, who's just retired.
Brian Cheng.
Brian Cheng was here for a while.
Yep.
But the setup here for producing homegrown players is the best in the country by a mile.
Yeah,
because
I
we
totally
can
agree.
play year round here.
Right.
Yep.
I'm even more embarrassed now when Coach Schmetzer yells at us for how poorly we're eating when we're on a road trip now, since he does so much good stuff.
Yeah, Brian watches the show, as we talked about, and he the last road trip, he yelled at us to get out of bed and get down to LA because we drove to LA, and he watched what we ate on the way to Salt Lake City earlier this year and yelled at us for what we ate on the way.
Never happy with what we were
So
eating.
I mean,
And you notice what he does every game? He walks across the field with a cup of coffee in his hand.
I know, I love it.
Yeah, he does. And I got loads of funny stories about Brian.
Well, tell us a story.
he's always
We'd love to hear a
cross about
Brian
how
Schmetzer story.
He's a wonderful
He has to eat ice
guy.
cream sometimes, right?
He's independent. He does his own thing in many ways, but he's always on the side of right. A little bit of devil in him at times.
Does he have a cape too?
I don't know, but he can kick a few people. I mean,
I know he's very funny on top of whatever else. I mean, you've known him personally, but he's always just been really nice and kind to us.
So my daughter got to walk out with the players
Wow.
at the game,
Wonderful.
at the LA game. Not the LA game. No, it was the LA game. Yeah, it was the LA game. The last game.
Last game.
That was
And
when all the
she walked
players
out
were
with
out there.
Zach Scott.
Coaches.
So it was really cool to have Zach. She walked out with Zach Scott. Brian, while we were doing our practice, Coach Schmetzer came out, and this is like an hour, 2 hours before the game, way before the game starts. And he walks out and he gets in line with the kids, and he pays attention to the person telling us what to do, and he walks out with us, and it's just he's so personable.
I mean, he really is.
It really is. He's so dynamic. I don't know how else to put it.
He coached one team at the alumni game.
Yes, that's right.
And
yeah.
I coached the other.
Yep.
And we had so much fun. And in the end, I went on the field in my civvies.
Yeah.
And I touched the ball twice, and Brian came on, and we had a laugh. And I went in the locker room with these guys. And I told, I'm not losing my job because you don't want to play today. And what's his name? The goalkeeper who played for the UW. What's his name? Bill May.
Oh,
he was the guy. He was my goalie that day. He played brilliant. He was the MVP for me.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
But the interesting thing about the alumni game, which is all old Sounders players,
Right.
the ones who were fit.
Well, the old guys.
Well, I mean, first of all, the other team that coached against my team, the two central defenders were Wade Webber and Taylor Graham, who were both fit. So that was a ring. And Brian pulled it over me there, but in the end, I don't even remember the score. But I will tell you, it was a great night. We had a great time.
Taylor Graham's tall too. On top of being fit, he's got that height that he can always bring with him.
Yeah.
But he was a central defender.
Yeah.
I think he's 6'4", and
And maybe 95 pounds.
Yeah.
Soaking wet.
Yeah.
He's still
He's
very fit, yeah.
very fit. So, and then I know, but he's been running with Roger too a little bit recently, and Roger just got done doing another marathon. So he's done 2 in the last
they're
month.
both in the front office, aren't they?
Yeah.
Taylor Graham and Roger Lebec. And
Yeah.
that's what the club's doing. The club's building the club based on previous players who've done the job.
Loyal.
Loyal. I think loyalty is a very good thing. But, I do think where we go from here, I mean, we averaged 45,000 again last year, which is huge. I mean, clearly the target's got to be 50,000.
Sure.
And I think that's doable, but it's not an easy deal.
No, we talked about. So we had Don Ruiz on last week, which
What a wonderful guy he is.
oh
isn't
my
he?
God, so I had never met him until last week. What a
He
fantastic
really
guy!
is. I see him at practice all the time, and he's very respectful to me. He wrote a great story about me in the Tacoma Tribune about the Sounders and the Tacoma Stars, and he's a fascinating guy, Don. I mean, he loves his work.
He does, and he's a smart guy. He's
Very smart.
quick as a wit. I mean, he was like, that's one of the things I love about his writing is that he's got that sharp wit. And the funny part was, I told him in his introduction, I'm like, well, I'm looking forward to you having that sharp wit. And he goes, well, in the paper, I have more time to think about and correct my sharp wit. But he was right on it. I mean, he nailed it. So, crap, where was I going with this?
I don't know.
Darn it, I had a funny commentary there.
It was a tie-in. It was a tie-in.
It was a tie-in,
with,
but my night's not going well. So
Taylor
I
Graham
forgot.
retired.
Well, actually, I wanted to ask
Go ahead.
Coach something. So during the season, you participated in a charity event on the field.
Yeah.
To kick off the crossbar challenge.
I watched
And
that.
I remember watching you, giving it the old college try, and
And
taking off the shoe.
Yep.
How was that being down on the field?
He had his England jacket.
First of all, I will tell you this. It's in-house. The Sounders have great charities that they contribute to.
Right.
And that's part of the joy of the Sounders. I mean, they're wonderful in the community. The players are, the front office is very generous. Ownership is. I was invited to take 2 shots at the goal. And I did practice at the Sounders practice ground. And I realized I could do better if I bounced the ball.
Yep.
Right.
So I got permission to do that, and with it being in-house, they let me do it. And the first one I hit with my shoe on, I was about 3 foot underneath the crossbar.
Yeah.
Just barely.
And I go,
just under.
if I do it, I took my shoe off,
Do it again.
and I felt if I really put a little bit more into it, I'd have a shot. And when it left my foot on the second one, I go bingo. And it actually stuck on top of the net.
Yeah.
So it was really close, and
Yeah.
I was really disappointed it didn't hit the crossbar. But then the club gave $1,000 to one of their favorite charities instead of $4,000 if I would have hit the crossbar. But
Yeah.
I thought when it left my foot, I thought, here we did. I thought I
Actually,
nailed it.
it looked good.
I was in GA that night, and oh my, we all thought that was going
I
in.
thought
That
both
was
of them were going to go.
fantastic.
I could not believe they missed barely by that much both ways, up and down. I
But
was
the
super
problem was
impressed.
the field was wet.
Yeah, that was
And
a
I'm
damn day.
thinking to myself, well, I better not slip on my backside here, because if I do, I'm going to look an idiot.
Well, the
But
crowd
in
was
the end-
cheering for you to get
Oh,
one
I know they were.
shot, too. They wanted one more shot, and you kind of waited, and you're like, I can't.
Now I should have picked it.
Should have taken the third one.
I should have bounced it like I did, because it's called the dipper.
right.
Yeah.
And the dipper's easy for me. I've done thousands of them.
Yeah.
And what you do, you don't follow through with your shot.
Right.
If you do, it goes like a goalkeeper shot, like
Right.
a punt in football.
Right.
And I knew if I dipped it by smacking it but stopping, then it would.
Would have gotten
I
just
knew
gotten
I
it right.
knew I would get pretty near, and I was. But it was a good effort, and it was fun.
They were right there, too, though, so.
But I mean, you could tell the whole crowd was definitely behind you, wanting you to hit that crossbar.
Absolutely.
So, I definitely wanted to ask you about.
So is
that
there
today.
anybody in the audience out there that can hear me? I know a few people are leaving who has a question for the coach. Those of you that are staying or leaving, any questions for the coach, feel free to come up and see Lee over here. He'll give you the mic to let you ask him questions.
That's correct. Come
Also,
see
the
me.
audience listening at home, feel free to give us any questions for the coach.
Please send those through Twitter if you can.
Yeah, because our feed is in and out, unfortunately.
So we're doing the best we can with it, but use Twitter.
Is
Shoot
there
us a Twitter
show
on the
notes to
Sonar
get still?
feed.
Do we have that
Yeah.
stuff up there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So do we have some questions in the notes?
we do. We have one question we have to ask you, which I don't think we asked last time. It's kind of a Sonar Feed a standard question. And you may or may not be able to answer this, and that's totally fine. Because Don Ruiz last week was unable to answer it. There's a couple of rappers out there. One's called Biggie and one's called Tupac. Have you heard of either of them, first of all?
No.
Okay.
I
So
am
you
not
wouldn't
a
be
rapper.
able you would not be able to answer the question that of which one would you like better. One's a West Coast rapper, one's an East Coast rapper.
I'd ask Casey Keller or Marcus Hanneman.
Okay.
Well, I bet you neither one of them have a good response either.
So here's a question from our feed. What's the difference between being a grandparent or a parent? Is there a big difference between being a grandparent or a parent? Is it coming from a mom?
I think being a parent is fantastic, but it does bring the challenges. And I think, as a parent, I think the best thing you can do with children is show them you love them. And I think when a child is born, they need to feel safe. They want to be loved, and they want to be happy. And that basically comes from the parents. And I think then when they start getting older, I think talking to them in a sensible manner, always having conversation is a big deal. And then the rewards back for the parents who've given so much to the children over the years is huge when the parents get older and the kids grow older. And then being a grandparent is, I have 3 grandchildren and it's fantastic. You know, they're all teenagers now, and I've been fortunate enough that I've been around them almost daily since they were born.
That's awesome.
And the conversation, I've taken them all to school for 10 years or more. And it's just rewarding. Like in the morning, I take little Isabel from Bridle Trails to Mercer Island. And she'll always call my wife. And she'll say, "Good morning, Nana." And then she'll put the phone down, they'll have a chat, and then she puts the phone down, and she goes, "I love my Nana." And I go, "And your Nana loves Izzy." And then she'll put the news on for me 8 o'clock, and then we talk away. And but I think, you know, it's a different deal. Some grandparents, as they get older, they quite like the fact that the kids go home at the end of the day.
Right.
But my experience being a grandfather has been wonderful, and I hope it continues for a long time to come. But there's nothing. We're on this earth, I think, to create children and build a future, and there's nothing like being a good parent. But it's tough at times when you have the challenges of
being a parent. Being a parent's a hard job.
Oh, I think it is.
I know that as I was out at the store this weekend buying my daughter a brand new computer this weekend after she ruined another computer, and I was just like, ah! But, you know, I got it I got it packed up and sent off to her today, and sometimes.
Yeah, it's tough, but it's so... I want to ask a follow-up to that, because I was dealing with an issue here before. You were talking about Zach Scott, and one of the things about Zach Scott to me is that I will never forget that first season in 2009, staying at the end of the game to cheer. I always stay and clap the Sounders. When they make their round around, I take the time and effort, because they do. I take the time and effort to cheer them as well.
Right.
And sometimes I would wait for my wife and my kids to go to the bathroom or whatever, and I'd stand there and I'd watch. And Zach Scott, to this day, and has for 6 years of the MLS, gone out with his kids and played with his kids on the field. And there may be nobody else on the field, and there's nothing else happening, and Zach is out there with his kids. And you were talking about him being a coach, and I got to wonder how much of that, the parental, you know, being a parent, being involved in that way, and watching him with his kids, and watching him with the other players, how good of a coach Zach Scott can be. And I know you already talked about it a little bit, but I just wanted to add my 2 cents that I look forward to the day that he is a coach in some regards. I think he will be fantastic.
He's a very good family man. I've also noticed him from the press box, going to his wife and children, taking the kids on the field. He's very much a family man. And but the big deal is, some people would say, well, he's got no experience as a coach. Well, I think he's been to the Ziggy Smith School of Coaching for 6 years.
Absolutely.
So if he's not learned a lot in the 6 years, what to do and what not to do, and then he's worked with Brian Smetzer before that.
Yep.
I think he's got a great future in whatever he wants to do, and he's quite a bright guy apparently.
Exactly.
I mean, he's a CPA or something like that, and so I think, you know, he's very much loved in this area, and I think, I'm sure he can finish up having a great life. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays again next year.
Well, he actually came out on Twitter yesterday and said he's going to come back for 1 more year.
Well,
which is fantastic. I mean, I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled by that. I mean,
at the same time, he'll be reading all the stories about the Sounders' biggest need is for a central defender.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And every year they try and replace him, but they don't.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's so resourceful. I mean, he finds a way to play.
Yep.
Yeah. He does.
Sometimes,
brains,
you know. But this year was his greatest year
by
for me,
far.
for certain.
I agree. He was on fire this year. Just, you know, being able to step up, you know, with Traore being out to injury, with Anibaba not being successful in the backfield.
Yeah. And Marshall missed a couple with his head.
Yeah, just that rotation in the back in the beginning of the season, and he just stepped up. I mean, you saw the way he played in the Open Cup this season. You saw the way that he played just through all the MLS games.
Kenny Cooper did a good job. He didn't play much, but he was a great guy in the locker room. Did well in the U.S. Open Cup. Chad Barrett.
Chad
Barrett, another one. I mean, both those guys.
You know, one of the things that made it difficult for Kenny Cooper, I think, and Chad Barrett was Dempsey plays a free role.
Yep.
which means we can't play Dempsey behind 2 forwards,
Right.
which would mean Ozzy would have the whole of the midfield to take care of, which is not possible.
Right.
And that was really tough for Kenny Cooper and Chad Barrett because they're used to playing 4-4-2.
Right.
But the Sounders effectively played 4-1.
4-1-3-2.
No, 4-1-4-1.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
4-1-4-1.
Yeah.
Or even 3-1-1.
Right.
4-3-1-1, yeah.
Yeah. But then we have 2 white players.
Right.
One was sometimes Brad Evans, who's good at tucking in because he's defensively minded as well. But Papa's not great at tucking in.
Right.
No.
Papa's got a lot of talent. And Nagel worked very, very hard defensively and had a great year.
Yep.
So for me, the nucleus of this club needs to be tweaked a little bit because if you stand still in Major League Soccer, you go backwards.
Right.
You've got New York coming in, Orlando coming in. You've got Houston under a new coach, and then a Scottish coach named Owen Coyle.
Yep.
He was a tough guy. He coached in the big leagues in England. Houston and Kansas City are coming into the West. So you've got a really good league now. You've got 10 teams in the West. You've got 10 teams in the East. New York City's got Frank Lampard.
Well, let's be
David
fair.
Villa.
We have 10 teams in the West, and we've got about 2 in the East.
Well,
I'm joking.
I don't disagree with that, but I mean,
Well, I mean, did you hear the news today about Frank Lampard might not want to come to the MLS now?
Yep. He wants to extend his loan further. Not surprised.
well,
Seems to be a mistake.
Which I think would be terrible for Frank and for New York too. So
I have another question for you here, from Lisa, who is a great loyal viewer of the show. How much fun was it to hang out with the Derby County fans, and of course Nancy, who's here out in the audience this evening, over the summer, watch some soccer with them here, and see them? Is that fun
Coach
for
is
you?
well- Cultivating
I
some
think,
Derby County fans out here.
That's a follow-up, yeah.
Nancy is responsible in many ways, and I've helped as much as I could to try and create a bond between Derby County and the Sounders.
right.
And of course, on Twitter, I'm getting awfully close to having 10,000 followers on Twitter now, so I'm always talking about the Sounders and Derby County.
Yep.
And the Sounders are my favourite team here by a mile. I did play for Vancouver and I did play for Dallas, but I like Vancouver. I think they'd do better if they could sign a couple of really star players. Because when I was in Vancouver '78, we were averaging, we got 33,000 sellouts at the end of the season. So Vancouver really, for me, can be, they'll never be as big as Seattle, I don't think, but they can certainly get into the 30,000s again.
Yeah.
Great, that's great
Yeah.
They need
numbers.
to get a couple of international stars
Yep.
that everybody knows, because they're big fans, the Canadians.
And I think they just need some consistency in the coaching area too.
Yeah.
I think that's been a huge issue for them. They've been in the league since 2011. They've had 4
But
coaches.
doesn't it make us feel really good that the Sounders not only have had Ziggy Smith for 6 years going on now,
Yep.
we've had the same assistant coaches.
Oh yeah.
We've had
Yeah.
the same goalkeeper coach, Tommy
Yep.
Dutra, is marvellous.
Right.
Dutra,
Dutra's
Ezra,
awesome. Yeah.
Ezra's been there the
But
entire
how
time.
much severance pay have they paid out in Portland?
Right.
They've had several coaches. How much
Right.
severance pay have they paid out in
Yeah.
Vancouver?
Yeah.
How much severance pay have they paid out and air tickets in Toronto?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, this club is mature, it's solid, and the future's very, very bright.
I agree.
And it's top to bottom too, right? I mean, bottom to top. It's the whole organization is strong. I mean, it's at least the Sounders. It appears to be from the outside. Now, there was news that broke right as you were getting here. I don't know if you've had a chance to see this. So Garth Lagerway is the RSL GM president. Is coming to the Sounders and has signed with the Sounders. Just launched. I don't. That's all I know. So
I have met him. He's a former goalkeeper.
Okay.
I think he's very good. I think he's a very personable guy. Done an excellent job. Maybe his heart was not in Salt Lake City after Jason Christ left.
Could be it.
And of course, Nat Borchers has gone to Portland, which is a bit of a surprise. So maybe RSL is not going to be the big boys that they've been. They did a marvelous job in the past few years.
Yeah, I mean,
I've
CONCACAF
talked to
finals.
Legaway, and he's a good man and
Worthy rivals.
Yeah, I don't know him, unfortunately. I really haven't paid that much close attention to him.
Be
But
interested to see what he does. I mean, he's the general manager of Salt Lake City.
Sounder at Heart's reporting it. That's why, I mean, there's tweets out there. That's the only reason why I'm bringing it up. And so it's interesting to see what is he going to do.
Twitter gets things before anybody.
I know. Actually, Taylor Twellman is the one who broke this
Taylor
tonight.
Twellman broke it.
So
if ESPN's letting Taylor talk, it must be true.
Yeah. So
Taylor
it would be
fans
interesting
here.
to see. Because, I mean, obviously we have a GM. We have a guy who's a GM/president, right? So we'll be curious to see how he comes in and what he does.
Well, I don't think you can have too many good people in the front
I
office.
agree.
I mean, there's a mountain of information.
Yeah.
The great thing about the Sounders is it had a good reputation before in the early years. It's always been one of the leaders in the North American Soccer League, in the A-League, in the USL. And then the players come to play here. They must think, I wouldn't mind some of that.
Right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind going to play in front of those crowds.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
This is the soccer community. I go out for dinner often with the coach. And, I mean, he's very recognizable, and I'm a little bit recognizable when we go out. But we have so much fun. We have so much fun talking to the fans. And Ziggy's marvelous with all the fans, and so are the players.
Right.
I mean, look at Stephen Fry, the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I think he went through 200 players in Toronto and 6 coaches.
Yeah.
And now he's found a home here, which is great.
Well, and the best part about Stefan is that he took his wife out on Saturday night to the ECS party.
Did you go?
I unfortunately did not. My daughter is in Lego robots, and her team got to the semifinals, which is awesome. So I was out all day though with my daughter, and then they advanced. So I took her out to dinner. We went out and had sushi dinner. That was her choice.
You are such a good dad. You are such a good father.
I wanted to go,
He
but I
wanted
just
to
couldn't.
go, I promise.
No, I was going to
couldn't
go,
pull
but
it
I
off.
was tired.
I heard it was amazing. I wanted to go, but Stephen Fry was there with his wife, and they were one of the last ones to leave.
Oh, yeah.
And that is amazing.
But that's
the
what you
community.
do.
Yeah.
Why do you think Zach Scott is so popular here?
Right.
He's popular for what he did on the field, but it's what he did.
Off
I'll
the
give you an
field.
example. When I retired in England at Derby after 10 years, they gave me a testimonial game. We got 25,000. Now, but I was always out in the town. You know where I'm like. I was out charitable events, raising money for the Children's Hospital, pushing over the pilot pennies for charity.
Right,
I was always out. I loved it. I loved being around the regular folk. And then another couple of players had testimonials after me, but they never did anything in the town. And they'd get 10,000 at their games. And then they'd say, why? But we didn't tell them. The reason they didn't get big crowds at their games was because they didn't do much in the community.
Right.
People who do stuff in the community, like Roger Levesque.
Yes.
Taylor Graham's always been good in the community.
Yep.
Zach Scott, particularly good in the community. Brian Smetzer,
Yep.
very good in the community. And all the players are. You
Yeah.
go to practice, no matter if there's 20, 30 children there or fans, the players are very patient, sign the autographs.
Well, I can tell you the players that weren't very patient are no longer playing for the Sounders.
That's true.
And I'll tell you
That's why I'm talking about a maturity with the
yeah.
club is great.
So I can tell you one in particular. Number 9, Freddie Lundberg, was horrible.
Do you want another beer?
Horrible.
Okay.
Well, I guess we could all admit that now.
I know because I saw it firsthand. I mean, he would find ways to walk around to get away from kids.
Yeah.
In
Well,
signatures.
Freddie, I got on great with Freddie because he knew I'd play.
Sure.
He knew I'd played in the big leagues in England, and
He had a great dog.
you look at the attitude of Henry.
Yeah.
There you
His
go.
attitude didn't please me.
No.
I can't play on field tour, but he'll play in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
He's now
agree.
retired, and I say, thank you for your name helping sell tickets, but
Absolutely.
they never sold out in New York anyway.
No.
No.
And I'm happy he's gone, frankly.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean,
I only want players to come here
Who want to be
who
here.
don't want to be bigger than the game. You've got to buy into the growth of the league.
Yep.
Yep.
It is a tough league. They got the travel. You got the different fields.
Yep.
Grass. You
Different
got field,
schedules.
You've got the different temperatures around. It's so easy not to buy off on this.
Yeah.
And the Sounders had their fair share in the first 5 years, but now I think everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, and I think
I saw Pele play on AstroTurf here. You didn't hear one word out of his mouth about what he was playing on. He just came out and kicked butt.
But did you see how much money he was making?
Yeah,
Pele only really made big money when he came to America.
Yeah, that's when he was
One
playing.
of the disasters with Pele is that he never got the chance to go to Europe,
Right.
which is prevalent now. I mean,
Right, because he could have been putting up numbers like Lionel Messi.
Sure.
I mean that is a possibility, and that's been one of those slights that.
If it weren't for the AstroTurf,
that's what he says to Messi.
Yep.
You know, you can decide who's the best player ever between you and I.
Yep.
But before you come with your credentials, win some World Cups.
Yeah.
Just Pele won 3.
Yeah. I agree. It's it's interesting, but you have a team back in England that's got a big game coming up this week, though, don't you?
Derby County play tomorrow night.
Play tomorrow. Yeah,
Play
against
Chelsea.
Play the Blues.
In
Yeah.
1968, we were in Division 2 at Derby, and we were really beginning to be an item, even though we weren't in the big league at that time.
Right.
We played Chelsea at the baseball ground, the old baseball ground. We walloped Chelsea 3-1.
So it's possible.
Oh yeah, but you know, Jose Mourinho, he's just like my old coach Brian Clough. He's a dead ringer for Brian Clough.
Yeah.
He's a personality.
Yep.
He's he'll come and talk to the opposition coach, providing he's winning.
Right.
But if he's not winning, he's a bad loser. not that he loses very often, but
Yeah, it's those Portuguese guys.
Yeah. Yep. That's funny.
I like being a Derby County fan now, watching, because it makes me happy to know no matter where I am, when I see them score at the end or whether I'm watching, I can always think, somewhere coach is really happy wherever he is in the world.
But on Twitter, you see, I see pictures on Twitter. I mean, there was a picture on Twitter the other day about. You see my tie?
Oh yes.
It's the biggest, widest tie, about 4 times wider
inches
than our
wide.
All White's Slim Jims. But I mean, I see pictures on Twitter from Derby County that I've never seen.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
great style. I liked it.
So, again, asking anybody, does anybody out there want to ask a question? Come on up. And feel
last
free
chance.
to ask.
I got plenty. I just don't want to dominate.
And then, no, that's fine. And then also in the audience. So we have a question here. Where are you going to watch the match tomorrow night? Was a question from Emerald 13, one of our loyal listeners. And then also kind of a follow-up there. Lisa asked, do you miss being in England? So the first question is, where are you going to watch the match tomorrow? And then, do you miss being over there, being able to watch them live?
If I don't think it's on TV. I was hoping it might be on beIN Sports. It may be.
Okay.
And I get the schedule off for Soccer America. They're very good at putting all the schedules in for all the TV stations.
Right.
I will follow it on SoccerNet
Okay.
on the computer. Not that I'll be able to see the game. And somebody tweeted me today saying Tizzy Wizzy or some crazy
Tizzy Wizzy.
No, something is carrying it. So I'll find out what it is if I can. But
Sure.
it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
It is. I mean, while we were setting up for the show, over the last week or so, and I've been kind of watching that, how that's been playing out, and I was like, oh, now we got something to talk about.
Yeah.
So that's good. Audience questions?
Do you miss living in Europe? And then we'll ask in England. And then we'll go to you.
I could go to Europe for a couple of months every year.
Yep. But do you like
summertime?
being?
I
you
love
like
living
here.
here.
Okay.
I've lived here 35 years. And everywhere I go, coffee shops, pubs, wherever I go, somebody's always so nice to me. And I've got hundreds and hundreds of friends here. And I don't want to go back to England and try to rediscover my friendships over there. Whenever I go back, we see everybody. Sadly, some are dying off now, which is too bad, but that's what you get when you're over 70 years of age. But no, I love living here, and I'll never leave here. This is my home.
Yeah.
World citizen.
That's good. So we have one of our audience members, RC, over here, has a question for you. So RC, go ahead and ask away.
So along with the Sounders signing, just prior to us starting this, a fairly active member of the ECS community just found out her grandmother has cancer. And I wanted to know if you had any advice for her and her grandmother.
Well, first of all, I'm sorry she's got cancer, but this cancer is a flipping nightmare. it affects more people than we ever imagined. We lost a son when he was 9 with cancer, and the recommendation is to get a good doctor, take the advice of the doctor, and get the treatment as quickly as you can. But a lot of people are surviving cancer today. I'm going to survive it, and I wish them good luck. But you've got to attack it like a bulldog.
Yeah,
you've got to get after it, because you leave it and leave it and leave it, it's going to get you. And it takes rich people, it takes poor people, it takes children, it takes older people, it takes any, it's just a nightmare. Marvelous things are being done, particularly in this country. And I don't think we could be in a better place than Seattle, with the marvelous medical opportunities and facilities here. And I would get the best advice I could if that would be my recommendation. And good luck, and stay positive.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, my father-in-law is an oncologist, and I talk to him a lot about things. So like when I heard your case, and I hear friends' cases, I talk about it. And I think the absolute critical thing is you have to be a bulldog. You have to be tenacious. Yeah. You have to follow the rules and the instructions you're given. Yeah. However, if you're given poor instructions or what seems to be poor instructions, don't be shy. I think you all know me. I'm not very shy. And a lot of things I do.
Liar.
I know. But you have to question. And if you have questions, you have to ask them. If you don't ask them, that's where you're going to fail. And that's where it's going to be a problem.
Mind.
So
I mean,
be upfront. Be honest.
The internet's full of
information. You don't
information.
need to be at the point where you've been so casual, if you like, by not going to the doctor.
Yep.
You've got to go. You've got to get tested. They can tell almost anything that's wrong with you, and it's a silent killer.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
I just lost a pal last year who was an old pilot, and he started not to feel very well, and by the time he went to the doc, it was all over his body, and he lasted 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's how my grandmother went. She felt bad, went to the hospital, dead 3 days later of pancreatic cancer. Yeah. So it happens. I think another thing is to stay positive.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be tenacious. You have to go after it.
You've got to give yourself a team talk, and you've got to.
Got to have a chance.
The only time I have a problem with my problem is if I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I've had a habit of doing that lately, is then I start thinking about my surgery and stuff, and I don't like those thoughts. But I don't want to get up at 5 o'clock, so fortunately I'll fall off back to sleep again. But generally speaking, I'm handling it very well, and I mean, coming here tonight and chatting and having fun, it just makes, forget your problems and just have a good laugh, and have fun with people.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll set this stuff up anytime you want to come down here.
Yeah. Adam, go ahead. Do you have a couple questions?
I just had a quick, nothing to do with health or doctors. Earlier this tweet, there was a conversation going on between a whole bunch of people, and then I saw you tweet about a couple of the shortest goalkeepers. And I was wondering if you could just give us some input on height of players, because I had a friend growing up. I was tall, he was short, and it would seem like I'd be able to do certain things better than him, but he'd run circles around me, make me look stupid. And I was wondering how height.
Well, goalkeepers, years ago, the minimum height that the experts would say is 6 foot. This is many years ago.
Yep.
I think the experts today are looking for a minimum of 6'2" from a goalkeeper. But I got 2 championship medals. In fact, I've got 3. I've got Division 2 medal. I've got 2 big league medals. The first one was a goalie was about 5'9", 5'10" max. I think he was 5'9", Les Green.
Yep.
He's died.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Because he didn't go to the damn doctor.
Yep.
And then the 2 big years, the big leagues was won by Colin Bolton, who was about 5'9", 5'10", maybe 5'10", Colin. But the shorter guys like Ramondo.
Yeah, Nick Ramondo's
upper body and shoulders, and they're so strong.
Josh Ford. Josh Ford's not a tall guy.
Is he going to be back here, do you think? Or?
I think S2.
I was thinking S2 too.
He needs, in my mind, a solid year of being able to play every week in and out and over again. Because when you watch him in the reserve league, and I know you did, he was fantastic, and he was built for tough, and he had these great things.
Tommy Dutra every day.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And Tommy's done wonderful with him, and
Tommy's got the best right foot in the club.
Yeah.
Is he really?
Well, he has about 4,000 shots a day with his I mean, if he could hit a golf ball like he can kick the soccer ball, he'd be a multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've seen Tommy with his goalkeepers. Sometimes they have a guest goalkeeper, and Tommy, he puts them through the ringer.
Yeah. If you ever watch him in practice, it's a brutal one.
Of course, Marcus
Yeah.
Hanneman, who's now retired, bless him. What a great career he's had. I thought his statement in the press was fantastic. I started with the Sounders, which he did because I signed in '94.
Which, thank you.
From Seattle
Yes.
Pacific.
Yeah.
I actually took him to England, and he's retired at the Sounders.
Yeah.
He's 42.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic guy. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet in your life.
His
Marcus.
going out and grabbing the beer out of the beer garden at the Open Cup
the
game
Open Cup
and
game.
drinking that, I mean,
Chugging it is the best.
he's like one of us. I mean,
Oh, he's one of the boys.
Yeah, he
The
is.
boy.
He's just a guy who likes to have a good time.
Yeah.
He's also a really damn good goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So
Well, he's a game goalkeeper.
yes,
He's not the greatest goalkeeper in practice I've ever seen, but when he comes to games, he's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
absolutely.
I've loved, especially when they play at Starfire, when he just has to walk onto the pitch and he gets sung to. It's like presidential stuff. If anyone sees him, half the stadium is singing his song. He might not even play that day.
Yeah.
But he also kicks the ball a million miles. I mean, I thought
Absolutely.
at Starfire, which is a bit smaller than most, but I thought he was going to take a shot on goal one time.
I think I've seen it.
So-
Well, I think he had an assist during an Open Cup game, didn't he?
Oh, he probably did. I mean, he was kicking the ball a million miles.
So speaking of like S2 and all that kind of stuff and Josh Ford and all that, what are your thoughts there? Because I'm excited as all get out that we have this opportunity. For us, it's just down the street, which is fantastic for us.
We're lucky.
But I'm excited. So what
I
are
think
your
The
thoughts?
club is, every now and again, some people will say, our Major League Soccer is going down the same road as the North American Soccer League. Well, I'll give you an example. In 1980, when I came to coach the Sounders, we had a reserve team, which played Portland and Vancouver and Pegasus out of Vancouver and different teams. Apart from that, most of the teams in Major Leagues in the North American Soccer League did not have reserve teams. So now, in Major League Soccer, the infrastructure all the way through to the top team, which is the first team, there's sometimes 3, 4, 5 teams. And academies now going down to U14. I think the future is we'll never go backwards again.
Right.
I know that there's some people talking stupidly, I think, about we've got our promotion and relegation. And my advice to the North American Soccer League, which didn't even average 5,000 a game this past year, is get up to about 20, 25,000 average, and then you might have a little bit of leverage.
Yep.
Yeah.
But right now, any team that's in the North American Soccer League can jump ship and come to Major League Soccer. But, this is just... I mean, the promotion and relegation started hundreds of years ago when nobody really had a lot of money in it.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Now, honorably, it's the right thing to do.
Right.
But you can't expect these guys that put millions of dollars into a Major League Soccer franchise to have the possibility of being relegated.
Exactly.
I mean, look at this year. DC had a bad year last year.
Yeah.
The coach of the year came from DC.
Right.
And I thought Ziggy deserved it over him, by the way, Ben Olsen.
Right.
It was like DC had the worst team in the league in 2013, so everybody who played for DC or coached at DC got a chance to to get their best of in 2014.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's not the way it's supposed to work. I get that kind of stuff, but it's not the way it's supposed to work. So that's frustrating to me. So, but I just look from a Seattle, and I'm a critical person, and I know that.
No way. Just say you're spirited.
You're a nice
I'm
gentleman.
spirited. See, that's how, there we go.
Whoa, hang on.
I'm telling my wife that one.
Your wife doesn't want to hear that.
I know she doesn't want to hear that. But I was told that when I joined the Alliance Council, there were some nervous folks in the front office because I am a very spirited fellow.
Well, we've all seen your tweets.
I'm very good at my tweets.
Yes.
I'm very good at them.
That's why the front office was
Scared,
scared.
exactly. But it's
The more talk, the more people will come to the games.
Yep.
The more talk.
yeah.
I love the rumors.
Yeah.
Hey, I used to spread rumors. I mean, the Drogba rumor
Yep.
about him coming in. Who got hurt there? Did anybody get hurt? I mean, come on. Did anybody get hurt when the rumor started going around? It makes sense.
No, everybody was checking plane
Just
flights.
some brains, yeah.
I mean, they got to want to come here. I mean, first of all, it's a great city. The people are fantastic. The fans are fantastic. The club's run big time.
Yeah.
I mean, why not spread the rumors? Let's spread one tonight.
When Alan starts talking like that, I'm like, yeah, I
The
guess they
Sounders
would
are
want
going
to
to
come here.
sign Sean Wright Phillips.
Wait, we're going to sign who for S2?
Sean Wright
Sean Wright
Phillips,
Phillips.
who's a flying machine winger, can't get in the first team of Queen's Park Rangers.
And then, well,
I mean,
what else?
that's a good rumor.
That's a great rumor. My
on top of that-
friend Richard Davies would be really upset if that happens because he's at Loftus Road every week. So.
On top of what Coach has said, I've heard that Seattle's a great place to play and they have great fans.
Food's good.
Housing market's okay.
We have great beer.
This all adds up to him coming here, in my mind.
Yeah. I'm gonna start scouting out a house for him.
I mean, raising a family here is good.
Yeah. Quality of life is great here in the Pacific Northwest.
That's like 9 out of 10 on the
Let's
check
spread
sheet.
another one. Jolyon Lescott, who used to play for Manchester City and Everton.
Yeah.
He's now playing for West Brom. Let's bring him here.
He
You know,
plays for the national team
yeah,
too.
let's
doesn't
bring
he?
it in. I mean,
Sure, why not?
I mean, am I gonna get in trouble for spreading rumors?
How
I'll tell you, I studied.
How about a real one? Go ahead. You tell me a story first.
Many years ago, Brian Clough, who I learned a lot from, not just as in being a coach, but in terms of messing with the media. He dominated the media from little old Derby.
Absolutely.
And then sometimes the media would come in. Frankly, you'd give them a few beers and a sandwich, which they didn't get at the other club, so they'd always want to come see Brian. So one day he said, how you doing, boys? You got any good stories? Nah, boss, it's a bit quiet today. He said, no, it's not. He said, I'm going to tell you a true story. True story, right? He said, Derby County signed to try and Bobby Moore from West Ham United, which was not true.
But it's a great story.
No, but it made the press. Now, Bobby Moore didn't mind that. Bobby Moore didn't mind it. The only person who wouldn't like it is the coach, Ron Greenwood of West Ham, and maybe the chairman. But in the end, nobody got hurt, but it sells tickets.
We should just start telling people.
But it shows the ambition of the club. It does.
Yeah.
It does.
agree.
I love a rumor.
All right, so here's
And
a
some
rumor.
of the rumors come true, by the way.
Right, and they do,
yeah.
like Dempsey. But how about this one? Eric Torres, or Kubo, from Chivas,
Yes.
was linked to two teams. He was linked to Chivas Guadalajara, right? Or Chivas, not USA, which is obviously gone, and LA Galaxy. Then he's not going to the Mexican League, and now he's looking at MLS, staying in MLS, and he's linked to two teams, Seattle and Seattle, that's funny, Seattle and LA. That wasn't at you, by the way, that was Karen. But Seattle and LA. So what do you think about that one? I mean, do you think, would you?
I don't think he'll come here because where's he going to play?
Start a rumor.
He's going to play in the reserve league.
No,
Alan just quashed your rumor before it even
he wants to be the free man.
Yeah.
Well, Dempsey's the free man.
No, exactly.
Dempsey's
Right.
not going anywhere.
No, I hope not.
Dempsey, hopefully, is having a good rest. And by the way, he's a very fine man, Clint Dempsey.
Oh yeah.
And but he's having a rest.
He needs to shut down for 2 months.
Yes.
Yep.
I hope they don't take him to camp. Later. Keep him out an extra week.
No. I mean, everybody has to be.
He should come on the show where we can loosen
Nobody
up
gets a
little bit.
pass.
Nobody gets a
No,
pass.
the coach. The coach.
I
Ziggy,
get a pass. I get a
everybody's
pass.
in.
I agree with that.
Do you remember when Freddie Longberg was late a week
Yes.
early on,
Yeah.
and Casey took him on?
Yeah.
He said, "How come it's you?" And if we'd have decided who was going to be late, it was Freddie, and it was Freddie.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But I mean, in the end, no, the rules are the rules.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, so here's a really important question.
And last question of the evening.
Yeah.
Are we done? All right, anybody else in the audience have any questions?
Fine,
Anybody
I'll
else
save my
online
next
ask
question.
any questions, and then we're going to wrap up and be done for the night.
Next question.
It's
for
actually
next
almost
time.
an hour and a half in, believe it or not.
Yeah. We don't want to.
Girl Scout cookies. Do you have a preference on Girl Scout cookies? There was a whole Twitter war, a friendly war,
Still going on.
still going on
Yeah.
amongst the ACS group.
Yeah.
Where there's Team Samoa, Team Thin Mint, and it was actually a few people got a little bit vicious about it.
I'm Samoa.
But do you have a Girl Scout cookie that you favorite? Or all of them?
They can't hurt us. Yeah, they can't hurt you.
No, I like peanut butter.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
The chocolate peanut butter ones?
Yes.
Team Tagalong?
I don't
Team-
know. I
Team
don't
Tagalong.
understand them.
Team
But I know
Tagalong.
that Tim Howard in his new book said Jurgen Klinsmann banned him eating peanut and jelly sandwiches.
What?
You did?
I haven't read his book yet.
That Jurgen Klinsmann guy.
Oh, speaking of.
That's like not American.
I think
Well,
Tim,
he's
I think
German.
Tim,
I know.
Tim
That's why I
Howard
said it.
Tim Howard should get half of Jurgen Klinsmann's wages.
I'd be okay with that.
Well, because
Yeah.
if Tim Howard hadn't played out of his
Oh
brains,
my God.
Jurgen would have got the sack.
Wait, how does goalkeeper makes the
Klinsmann was
most
a great
saves in a
player,
single
by the way.
game ever?
He was a great player, but now he's the coach of the national
Yeah.
team. He's,
Yeah.
Those pundits can say what we like about him.
What do you think about him now? I mean, honestly,
I don't think he's done great so far.
yeah.
I think he's done okay.
Yeah, okay. I think some of the way he handles things is very efficient, very Germanly efficiently, which I think is both good and bad.
Being anti-Major League Soccer is not a smart move.
I agree, 100%.
There's a rumor going on today that Josie Altidore is going to Bremen,
Really?
I didn't miss
Germany.
that.
Now, it's not done yet, but I
Yeah.
mean, that's the rumor.
Yeah.
But he-
Is that your rumor or a real rumor?
No, I read it in Soccer
okay.
America.
Okay.
And today, the first thing I would, and most people who know what they're talking about will think, a national team player going to Germany, is Jurgen involved with that?
More than likely.
Well,
I would
but he
think.
shouldn't be. He needs to be supportive of everybody and everything.
I agree. I mean,
But-
but last week he was having the same type of issues, talking about trying to keep players out of the states, coming in, staying out of MLS and staying in Europe.
Hey, don't forget, he played for Tottenham,
Sure,
and Yedlin's going to Tottenham.
sure. I could
So,
have had a hand
but
in that
he's
as
got to
well.
be politically smarter.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people thrilled with his behaviour.
Sure.
He's making a lot of money. I'd see DeMarcus Beasley's retired from the national
saw
team.
Yeah, that was
today.
today. Yeah, 14 years.
It'll be interesting to see what Clint Dempsey does.
Yep.
I mean, Clint is 31, I think, something like that.
Yeah, he could probably play one more. Maybe.
Well, he's in good shape.
He's in good shape, yeah.
He doesn't tend to put weight on.
No.
Yeah,
But Tim Howard taking a year off. Landon Donovan retired because of Klinsmann.
yeah.
He wouldn't have retired if he'd have gone to Brazil.
No, exactly. I think
That
you're
was his
absolutely
way
right.
of protesting Klinsmann.
Yep. But I mean, at some
And
point,
I think Donovan will be back in 3 to 6 months.
do you really?
No, I do. I mean,
So
hey,
Landon
let me tell
Donovan
you.
is the Brett Favre of MLS.
No, but I can tell you this: the greatest days of your life are when you're playing the game.
And he's playing all
The
right.
second best days of your life are when you're coaching.
Yeah.
And Donovan is
Never
not
be a coach.
No.
And he should never, ever, Donovan, don't never go on ESPN. Do never go on TV again. You're terrible, Donovan.
No, but a lot of them were terrible too.
Oh my God.
Well-
Brian McBride wasn't very good in the beginning,
No.
but now he's become quite good.
Okay, well maybe
Eric
Donovan
Winold
maybe
is better than he
practice
used to be.
offline. He was terrible when he did his first interview.
I do
Terrible.
like watching Brad Friedel's accent.
Brad Friedel, yeah, he's got a Blackburn accent, or
Yeah.
Blackburn, North Country of England.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's-
he went
it's
to
like,
Liverpool, then he played for Blackburn, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, where did he finish?
I think we had one question. You said the last one, but book.
Book.
Are you writing a book?
Yeah.
I'm writing a book, yeah.
And what's
Is that
the-
a rumor?
What's
How's it
the
going?
status of the book?
Well, it's about 2/3 done.
Okay.
I'm trying to bring humor into it, and
Good.
the problem is your brain goes crazy when you start thinking, "Oh shit, I've got to put that in there." And no, I'm sorry for that four-letter word. There.
Oh, that's okay.
I say worse all the time.
Yeah, we're just checking in. I know I want to read it, so.
All right.
Do you have
All
a
right, so
publisher though?
I need a
Gasman.
if you don't,
Talk to-
actually, and if you don't, the Gasman's a great resource. I've spent the last 20 years in print.
Have you really?
So if you want help, let me know. Because either through what Gasman's done, which is the whole self-publishing model, which is fantastic.
How many has he sold? the
I have
Gasman?
no idea.
I don't know, but I think we've all bought them.
Yeah, a few,
Least three.
quite a few.
That's good.
Quite a
It
yeah.
depends on what level you want. So we could talk off the air because that's my business right now. Is that's what I do. So I'd absolutely be thrilled to help with that.
Okay.
And I can put you in touch with the right people at the right level.
So I need a
that.
publisher here that does here and in the UK.
They will handle it
'Cause I got
worldwide
a
now.
lot of,
They'll handle it worldwide. So,
I'll
yeah.
have huge sales in the UK.
Yeah, no
They all
problem.
want to know where I went.
Yeah.
Of course, they love the old white boots.
Yep. White
It's a
boots.
great story.
It is.
It's a great story.
All right, so we're going to end the show. I'm sorry. I apologize for the technical difficulties to those that are watching live on the air
Sorry.
and to you, Alan. Thanks for your patience. I hope you enjoyed this as
No,
much
I
as you did
enjoyed
last
it. I'll
time.
come again. I mean,
Good.
you know what would be fun? You know, if you got, instead of having one person, have two.
We've actually talked about
Because the
that.
banter would be
We
good.
want
want,
a
we
drink
want a
or-
round table.
But
Yeah.
you got to find the ones that get along.
Yes.
You know,
And the
Yep.
schedule.
and maybe disagree.
Maybe having him
Yes.
with Don next time.
No, I
Something
like
like that
Don.
would be fantastic.
Yeah, I like Don.
I'd actually
Yeah,
like to
Don.
do that kind of like a media roundtable, so
Yeah.
to speak.
Make a
let's
list
do it.
of people you
Yeah,
do
Don
watch every
Ruiz,
week.
we can
Yeah.
open him up and find out what he's
So,
all about.
We should talk to him about getting Pete Fewing on the show.
Oh,
Yeah, Pete Kuhn, yeah, he's
He
good.
would
that would
fantastic.
he would be great.
Good.
All right, so two last comments. I know you're going in for surgery at the first of the year. I guess there's three comments. We wish you the best.
Yes,
If there's
we do.
anything we can do, let us know. And by we, it means the family, the whole family.
Anything, anytime.
I know the date you're going in. You've announced it. We have our SonarFeed FIFA tournament on January 4th. It benefits the Nagel Foundation, and Lamar Nagel will be here. This is his third time showing up for it. The first year we raised $700. The second year we raised $2,200.
Wow.
And this year we're aiming for around $5,000.
In 6 hours.
So we have a lot of raffle items. We have a lot of folks coming. We have a lot of activities planned. If you are around on January 4th and you are not otherwise occupied,
I have to go in early on the 5th, so
if you want to come down,
that might take my mind off.
Exactly.
It might.
we
so.
would love to
Big
have you
night the
come
next
down.
day, right?
We will get you a lift back and forth, whatever you need. But
Even if
you
you just wanna
are
stop in.
even if it's for a few minutes, stop in.
problem.
It's a family-friendly event.
Okay.
My kids will be here. A lot of kids will be here.
Sounders alum kids.
Sounders alums, kids. So if you're free, and we'll make
Okay,
sure you
let
know
me
about
know.
it.
Let me know.
Open
Yeah.
invite.
We'd love to have you come in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, last time we were unable to do this, so you are now officially joining. Oops, sorry, hold on. You are joining the Berliner family, and you have your own Berliner Stein.
It's a nice ceramic.
This is
one,
your own
too.
Berliner Stein.
That'll keep
and-
it cold.
You get your own T-shirts
Shoot.
There you go.
for the Berliner.
Wow.
So you are now an official member of the Berliner Pub. The Berliner
Yes.
Pub donated this to you.
Thank you.
And
Well, thank you
as-
very much,
they're
Berliner
part of
Pub.
our family.
Yeah.
So if I
And
gotta
you're
put
part
that
of
up
our
on the
family.
end,
Yes, you'll be able to take that and drink that and have that with you, so you can have it.
You can bring
Wonderful.
that
Well,
one
welcome
thank
home.
you
to
very
family.
much, the Berliner Pub.
You can bring it home, and if you want to
You
bring
got
it
a
back,
great
you-
pub here.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. And
I've been to Germany lots of times. I've been to Oktoberfest in Germany,
There you go.
and it's always been great. So
Oh, we got to get them.
thank
to
you
the next
very
August.
much. That's
Yeah.
really that's fantastic.
Yeah. So
Enjoy.
welcome in. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you
Yeah.
very
Anything
much.
we can do for you, let us know.
Absolutely.
So thanks everyone for watching live.
Thanks for watching,
at
everyone.
home.
Love you.
We love you
thank
guys.
you, everybody. Thank you.
And
Thank
we'll
you
talk
guys
to you
down in
soon.
the audience.
Thank you so much.
Bonsoir.
Wonka out.
Wonka out.
When does he get it?
He doesn't,
Why not?
because he broke the rules.
What rules? We didn't see any rules, did we, Charlie?
Wrong, sir, wrong. Wrong, sir, wrong. Wrong, sir, wrong. Wrong, sir, wrong. You lose a contract signed by him. You get washed. You get sterilized. You get nothing. Good day. You lose. Wrong, sir, wrong. I said wrong, sir, wrong. You get wrong, sir, wrong. I said wrong, sir, wrong. You lose. Black and white, all there. Black and white, all there. Black and white, all there. Clear as crystal. You lose. Good day, nothing. You lose. Get good day, nothing. You lose. Get good day, nothing. You lose. Get good day, nothing. You get nothing. You get nothing. You get nothing. Clear as crystal. You lose. Black and white, all there. Black and white, all there. Black and white, all there. Clear as crystal. You lose. Fax mentis incendium gloria culpum memo bis punitor della etc. You're a swindler. Wrong, sir.